Welcome to the Dose of Good podcast, where we celebrate good people and organizations working to make the world a better place. It can be easy to get caught up in the bad things going on in the world and forget about the good happening all around us each and every day. I'm your host, Erin, and I want to share these stories with you and give them the attention they deserve. I hope this podcast educates and inspires you and maybe even motivates you to share a dose of good in your community. Now let's get into today's episode. For today's episode, I'm going to be speaking to Jeanne and Sara from Best Buddies. I had heard of Best Buddies before this episode, but I wasn't totally familiar with what they do. I had a general idea and learned a little bit more about them when I did my Miss New Hampshire Miss Inspiration interview, but I'm so glad that I was able to have them on because I've learned so much more about the organization. It sounds incredible and is one that I myself would really like to get involved with. I'm going to look into that, but I hope that you enjoy hearing today's episode about Best Buddies and learning more about them. So let's get into it. Today I'm here with Jeanne Delahi, Senior Program Manager of Community Engagement for Best Buddies and the Deputy Director of Communications and Stewardship, Sara and Selmo. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So what is the mission of Best Buddies?
Yeah, so Best Buddies is an international nonprofit organization, and we offer opportunities for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities under 5 pillars. And those pillars are friendship, leadership, employment, living, and family support. So internationally, we're in all 50 states and around 50 countries, and every location has some form of the pillars, whether it's one pillar or all 5. So we're all around the world spreading inclusion, and New Hampshire currently operates under the friendship and leadership pillars.
Okay, great. So can you speak about some of the different areas that that Best Buddies covers? So basically, I saw one-to-one friendships, leadership development, and then inclusive living.
Yes, so in New Hampshire, we have 3 major programs, which are our school friendship programs, our citizen program, and our ambassador programs. So in our school friendship programs, we're in almost 40 schools, and we're at the elementary, middle school, high school, and college level. And the goal of our school friendship programs is to build inclusion between students with and without disabilities. So the goal of Best Buddies is to really create spaces where all people, all students feel welcomed, feel accepted, valued just as they are. And so oftentimes for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, they can feel sometimes isolated, whether that be physically, economically, socially. And so with Best Buddies, we come into a school and set up a chapter where students with and without disabilities can have that safe space to make connections and where everybody feels that they belong. You know, it's so important for students when they feel that connection to a school community. It increases their self-esteem. They can do better academically. And, you know, we just foster that social connection. And so one of the core values of Best Buddies is the one-to-one friendships. So in addition to the schools hosting monthly chapter activities and events where students can participate and get together, meet each other. At the high school and college levels, we take it one step further, and we really seek to develop really meaningful friendships and connections through a one-to-one friendship. So students who opt, it's optional, but those students who say, yes, I want to be involved in a one-to-one friendship, then they make a commitment to their buddy to make a connection every week. So that could be through a FaceTime, a text, you know, just something where they're checking in on each other and making that connection so that friendship can grow. And twice a month that they get together and do something. So that do something can be on the school campus. They can have lunch together, go to a basketball game, go do homework at the library, just experience school culture, but it can also be outside in the community too. So we have a lot of buddy pairs who will like go to the movies together or, just go have dinner, get a cup of coffee and, just based on their shared interest, go and form a friendship. So it can be very pivotal and just transformational, really like enrich students' lives and on both sides, right?
Sure,
like Best
yeah.
Buddies makes an impact not just on students with a disability, but on the students without too. It's like a genuine friendship.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I really love about the school friendship program is our leadership development. So at the same time as we're like creating that culture of connection and inclusion, we're also developing advocates and leaders who can change the world and build a more inclusive school community and a more inclusive world. So our office at Best Buddies New Hampshire, we train our student leaders. So 3 times a year, we provide training in best practices of like how to run their chapter, how to recruit members, how to engage students, how to plan events, and give them those leadership skills, and how to move the mission of inclusion forward. So we host one in the fall and we host a training in the spring. And those are local leadership training days. And we also include our advisors because we are very grateful and dependent on advisors out in the school to support our programs as well. And then we have a international global conference every summer. And that's in Indiana at Indiana University. It gathers 2,000 students, ambassadors, advisors from around the world. So our students this past July, Sarah and I were there with our staff, and we brought about what was our number?
I think we had 31.
31.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you. Students and ambassadors, and so we traveled to Indiana for a weekend of. It's just we have keynote speakers who really share the importance of inclusion and disability advocacy. And then we have educational tracks where students are, again, learning and the opportunity to network and learn from students from other chapters from around the world is just so valuable. And then just it's just so powerful to be in this auditorium with 2,000 people from around the world, and everybody's so committed to building a more inclusive world. Like we're all on the same mission in our own communities, but when we come together in that global conference, like you see how the sum of the parts, adds up to that powerful experience. So that's our school friendship program in a nutshell. We are always looking to open new chapters. So I mentioned that we're in almost 40 chapters, but our goal is to be in every single school here in New Hampshire. So for anybody listening who wants to connect with us and help us open a chapter at a new school, we're always looking to make those new connections. And
It's funny because I was going to ask you about that when you mentioned it. I was going to ask, well, if someone wants to start a chapter, how can they go about doing that? So they just would reach out to you and someone from a school or something?
Yeah. They reach out to us, and then we work with them to make a connection with the administration, and we sometimes we have different grants or stipends and things that we can provide depending on the location in the school. But one of the great things that I love about our school friendship program is we have a program manager, Mackenzie Whittet, who is our school friendship program manager, and she provides year-round support to our schools. So we don't just like set up a chapter, but we're always checking in on them. We go and visit them. We participate in events with them. We bring our school chapters together for statewide events.
Nice.
We have a Balloween, a friendship ball, like a Halloween costume party dance coming up at the end of October, and so like we have a lot of fun events. So for people who participate in Best Buddies, they get that experience of their own school, but then they're part of this state and national and global community too. And they get to experience that all the time, which is great.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds like a wonderful program that every school could benefit from. So I hope that more will reach out and make it a part of, what they do there.
Thank you.
And also going back to the event you attended in Indiana, I believe you said it was, and that sounds like it was a fun time.
Yeah, it is. Right, Sarah. It is
Yeah.
so much. It's so much fun. It's so high energy. There, at the same time as all the different like keynotes and educational components, there is like lots of fun social components to it, and it's really great. It's so exciting to meet people from all over.
Yeah.
We have global ambassadors too, and they also bring in like some celebrities who have disabilities, and so people have a chance to do meet and greets with people and stuff. Yeah, it's quite an experience. Like you definitely leave inspired and hyped and
That's
feeling
awesome.
great. Yeah, it's great. So the other program, one of the other big programs that we have is our Citizens Adult Friendship Program. So it operates very much like the school program, but it's our office manages the program, and it's for anybody 18 and up. And just like the school friendship program, we match individuals with and without disabilities in a one-to-one friendship. So those matches are based on age, shared interests, and geographical location. So we match people within about 30 minutes of each other. We try to get as close as possible. And we have almost, we have about 38 buddy pairs right now in our Citizens program. We do have a very large waiting list of people with disabilities who are very eagerly awaiting a buddy. So if anybody is listening and would like to get involved and be a buddy to somebody, we're always looking for more volunteers to join. And it's the commitment. It's great. It's a great volunteer commitment because it's very flexible to work around your schedule. So it's that once a week, making a once a week contact, a FaceTime, a phone call. And both Sarah and I have a buddy. And then once a month at the Citizens program, it's once a month, getting together and getting out and doing something fun. And then we have group events too. We have a monthly virtual event for our Citizens members and a monthly in-person event too, which our Citizens program manages everybody in the state. So we try to rotate where those monthly events are. It might be on the seacoast. It might be up north. We went to ice castles last year.
Oh, fun.
We did a karaoke event on the seacoast. We do bowling a lot. Just different. We play musical bingo here at the Backyard Brewery in Manchester. That's a regular event of ours. And so it's just lots of just different fun things, opportunities for connection. But it's a especially for adults once they finish school, it can be very challenging for people with disabilities to find friendship and community. A lot of people work, but some people with disabilities don't, and so Best Buddies is an opportunity to really like make friends, expand their network and community.
Yeah, I'm glad we could share that because I knew about Best Buddies being in schools, but I didn't know that they had that available to people once they're outside of school.
Yeah.
So that sounds like a really great program, and I hope you'll get more people to volunteer to be buddies.
Thank you.
That would be great.
Yeah. It's really great. We have some great buddy pairs that I just matched a buddy pair recently, and what I find is sometimes like when I introduce them, like they do a matching interest survey first, and I talk to everybody on Zoom and like get to know everybody as much as I can, but just a little bit. But every time like I do an introduction and the buddy pair starts talking, there's always like these extra awesome things that they connect with. And so like give an example, a recent buddy pair, all of a sudden, like they started to talk, and they discovered that they both love comics, and so they just went to the Comic-Con that was, the
Manchester one. Yeah,
in Manchester together recently and stuff. So, it's just an opportunity to do some really, really cool things, and it's just like any other friendship. It's just a genuine friendship and somebody to do things with and hang out with. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
And how did each of you get involved with Best Buddies?
I'll let you go first.
Sure, yeah. So I went to college in Rhode Island, and I was a part of the Best Buddies chapter at my college. And I I wasn't matched in the program. I was just a general member, so I would go to all the monthly events and the community events as well in Rhode Island, and I just loved being able to connect with people that I didn't see in my classes, but people who were so fun to be around, and an environment where, you know, like we've mentioned, like everyone feels like they belong and everyone's comfortable walking into the room and sitting at any table, even if you don't know the people there yet. So being a part of that I think I was in it for 3 years. It was such an important part of my experience at school. And when I began searching for a job when I was about to graduate, I didn't know a lot about Best Buddies outside of my school campus, but I wondered if there were opportunities for a career. So when I was searching and I found that there was an opening at the New Hampshire office, I was so excited. I'm from Massachusetts, so
Okay.
I make a little bit of a commute up, but I've just fallen in love with the community of New Hampshire and the pride that people have being from here, and how a lot of people want to help and be a part of something. And so, yeah, that's how I got involved and how I've stayed involved. And Best Buddies is something that you can be a part of for your entire life, which is what's really, really neat about it, is you can join and you can just go to the community events, and then you can evolve it into, oh, I want a buddy, or you can volunteer at the gala. There's so many different things that you can help out with, and that can add to your life at whatever level you're at. And that's what I've really come to love about Best Buddies, and it's something that I just know I'll be a part of forever.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I love hearing that it started out as something you were kind of doing on the side at school, and now you've made it into your job.
Right.
So that's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, I love it.
And how about you?
So for me, the journey started when my daughter, so I have a daughter who's now 20 with Down syndrome, and so here in Londonderry, actually, and so she was hitting the middle school, and at the time, up until middle school, she had lots of play dates and birthday invitations and things like that. But once she hit middle school, friendships became harder. You know, the conversations were faster. It was just harder for her to make connections. And so I was just trying to figure out what can I do to, help her make connections and not feel lonely, and have some friends. And so I heard about Best Buddies. I had kind of heard about it for a long time, but I was like, okay, I got to figure out Best Buddies. So I contacted them and said, like, I'd love to open a chapter at my daughter's middle school. Was not, working for them at the time, and worked with someone by the name of Laura, who was in my role at the time, and so we worked together to open up a chapter at the middle school, and then and I remember during that whole interaction, like I was so excited, like for my daughter and the other students at the school, like to have that opportunity to bring Best Buddies there. But at the same time, I was like, wow, what a great job! Like what a great organization to work for. And a few months later, the person who was in the job moved on to a different position in Best Buddies, and the job opened up in New Hampshire. And I wasn't working full time at that moment. I stayed home for a while with my kids, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's the job for me, And so anyway, fast forward that was 6 years ago. So here I am, never feels like work. Absolutely love the job. And I will say too, like fast forward for my daughter, who's now 20, and she's a part of the Londonderry High School chapter, and Best Buddies it really has made such a profound impact on her, on that friendship and leadership level too. Like she, besides having like friends at her school that she knows and, buddies that she's been connected with over the years, she also comes to our citizens events at 20. She's a young adult now, and we'll walk into a room like for a Best Buddies event, and there's so many people like, will be, hi Amina. Like she has all these friends, or they'll FaceTime her. Like it's definitely expanded her network. I'd say I'd say the majority of her friends now are all through Best Buddies, and so yeah, it's really made such a great impact on her. And then, as I say, like leadership, she's been able to, like at our friendship walks, our different events, she's been able to like be part of mission moments where she's like speaking a little bit to share something about friendship, and so it's given her that growth opportunity as a leader as well too. So.
All of that's so wonderful.
Yeah.
Just the fact that you started the Londonderry chapter, and then now you are also working for them because of that. But I love hearing when people just love their jobs and going to work every day and how it's so fulfilling, because not everyone can say that. So I think it's wonderful when you can have something you're so passionate about that you really enjoy what you do.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
definitely.
Very lucky. Very lucky. The people,
absolutely.
I have found like over the years, like the people who are connected with Best Buddies just bring such positive energy, and hard workers, and, you know, from our advisory board members to the student leaders that we meet to our ambassadors, like it's just such a culture of positivity.
Yeah, and to the fact you said how it's helped her make friendships, because at least in my experience, it's hard for anyone to make friends. So I'm loving that this is available to people to expand who they meet and all of that. So
Exactly. Yeah, and it does. It meets the needs for anybody with or without disabilities.
Sure. And you touched on some of the volunteer opportunities. It sounds like there's numerous ways people can get involved. So is there anything else you wanted to highlight with that, or maybe how people can start volunteering if there's a process they have to go through?
Yeah, do you want to pick that up?
Sure, yeah. So the best way to get all information about us is bestbuddies.org/New Hampshire.
Okay.
That's where we list our events, and that's where you can get information about school chapters. That's where you can find our emails.
Okay.
Sign up to be a Citizens Buddy. Everything is there, as well as on our Instagram, Best Buddies NH. So I think that some of the most important opportunities for us right now are buddies in the Citizens Program. So people without a disability who are excited about making a friend and making a connection. We're really looking for people like that.
Okay.
So that's one of the most important volunteer roles that we would like to fill with some new faces. And as we've mentioned, the school chapters, we have a gala on November 16th that people can volunteer at. And that's a celebration of 10 champions who have been competing in a blind fundraising competition for 8 weeks, raising money for Best Buddies. And at the gala, we crown the champion of the year.
Oh,
so,
fun.
That's a really fun one-night volunteer experience that you can see the mission in action and meet all of these people. And it's such a special night. So that's an opportunity as well. And then, throughout the year, we also have ambassador trainings, so you can volunteer as a speech coach and help an ambassador perfect their speech.
Okay.
In the spring, we have friendship walks. So we really have all kinds of opportunities. And again, on our website or on our Instagram, that's where you'll see everything that's going on.
Okay, great. Hopefully people will go check that out. And since you brought it up, I had wanted to ask, I know you, I think, touched on it a little bit, but about what a Best Buddy ambassador is, because we did an episode recently with Miss New Hampshire and Miss Inspiration, Caitlin McKivergan, and she's a Best Buddy ambassador, so that's where I first heard about it. So what does one need to do to become a Best Buddy ambassador?
Yeah, so our ambassador program is under our leadership pillar, and anybody can be an ambassador, anybody with or without disabilities, but it's an opportunity to represent Best Buddies, and the goal is, as an ambassador, is to share your personal story about inclusion, about the impact of Best Buddies on your life. And so through our trainings, we share information of how to put that short speech together.
Sure.
And then we share information on public speaking skills. Oftentimes, like, we've partnered with local corporations. Last February, we partnered with New York Life. later in November, and we're partnering with Jeanne and Gordon Law Firm, and then the Social HQ right here in Londonderry is going to do an ambassador training event to help our ambassadors learn how to use social media. They're a social media marketing company, so they're going to do a training session on how to make your speech into a reel, and how to move the mission of inclusion forward using your social media.
Sure.
So just, it's ambassador training is an opportunity to learn how to be an advocate and kind of move that mission forward by sharing your own personal story. So Caitlin is one of our 2 state ambassadors, and she's amazing. So she has a really great story. Like, she's someone who started a couple of years ago as an ambassador, and her growth in terms of her confidence level and her ability to deliver her speech, like, it's been just awesome to see that journey for her.
Yeah.
To develop those skills. And so this past summer, when she came to Indiana with us, she was on the ambassador track. And so there's a couple hundred people from around the world on that ambassador track. And we have these big closing ceremonies, and only about 5 ambassadors from around the world get selected to share their speech during the closing ceremonies. And it's live streamed on YouTube around the world. There are 2,000 people in that auditorium, and Caitlin got selected. So it was the first time ever that we had somebody from New Hampshire.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great. So she got up there and shared her speech in front of 2,000 people.
Oh my God.
Right? It was amazing. Yeah. And it was so great as like our New Hampshire delegation of 30. We were all so proud of her and cheering her on. And so it's just, the ambassador program just has so many opportunities, like, on a local level, because we do have our ambassadors go out to the schools to speak, or we do lunch and learns. We're always looking for corporations who want to host a lunch and learn where we can come in and talk about the many opportunities of Best Buddies and how they can get their volunteers involved. And so, yeah, it's such a great opportunity for anybody who wants to share their story and be a leader in the mission.
Yeah, that sounds like it was a great and I know she was very excited to hear that she was selected, out of only 5. And I mean, I would find it intimidating to speak in front of 2,000 people. So, that just says a lot about. You said she's come far with her confidence and everything, and to be able to do that is just incredible.
Yeah, it was amazing. I will say, and Sarah's her buddy. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have to brag that I'm matched with Caitlin in the Citizens Program, and every time I watch the video of her speech, it gives me chills. Like,
I'm going to have to go watch it because I haven't had a chance, and I'd love to see it.
She's such a powerful speaker, and she loves getting on stage. She was so proud of herself, and yeah, it was just an awesome experience.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was great. And we also had one of our ambassadors named Curtis. He was also selected to be to do like a one-liner thing in the closing ceremonies. But again, it was like such an honor to get selected.
Especially from a small state, sometimes we're overlooked because we don't have the population. So that's so cool that they both got to have a special moment there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And just hearing all the stories of the different ambassadors, it's really powerful. And then one of our, like, besides building an inclusive community, one of the big aspects of the big parts of our mission is to showcase ability, and the ambassador program really does that too. So it's very powerful to hear, like, when Caitlin gets up and speaks and talks about about her job and her independent living skills and things, like, or any one of our ambassadors. It's for people who sometimes people underestimate people with disabilities. Sure. So the ambassador program is just a great opportunity for people just to see how much they achieve, and contribute to the world.
Yeah. I'm jumping around here a little bit because you kind of touched on it. Do you find that New Hampshire is an inclusive state? Do you think there's still work to be done there? Or I guess, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, there's always work to be done. I would say, I would say that with anywhere. I think, like, from, the educational standpoint, I think, New Hampshire is great in many ways, but of course it depends on the community and the school and things like that. So we're always there to bridge the gap. So that the school chapters provide that opportunity where if a student is feeling isolated and is not maybe included as much as they would like to be, well, they can be part of, be it Best Buddies, our chapter, or Unified Sports, or the different opportunities for inclusion that might kind of bridge that gap if it's not there. But I think I think again, always work to be done, but I feel like we're making good progress.
Yeah. And I'll add too that in a perfect world, Best Buddies wouldn't have to exist, right?
Yeah.
Everyone would include everyone automatically. And that's the goal of Best Buddies, is to not have to be in existence anymore, to go out of business.
Okay,
So I definitely think that New Hampshire is reflective of a lot of other states in the country. In one way in particular, it can be really tough for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities to get a job.
Okay.
We have one ambassador who has a bachelor's degree and has been applying to hundreds and hundreds of jobs and isn't getting interviews, isn't getting hired. So it's just these assumptions that people hold about people with disabilities. And one of the pillars that I mentioned earlier is inclusive employment. And that's something that we're really trying to bring to New Hampshire, and we've been working really, really hard to get the funding for in order to assist people with disabilities in building their resume and interview skills, and meeting with businesses and corporations and giving them trainings on hiring people with disabilities and how much value they'll add to their company. So that's a way that we definitely can see that opportunity for growth and improvement is people, like Jeannie said, people with disabilities get underestimated, and there's assumptions about them being made that shouldn't be. So that's something that we really want to change, is helping people to get their dream jobs that they deserve.
Yeah, that sounds like, hopefully, I hope you can make it happen.
Yeah.
'Cause it sounds like it would be beneficial to not only those looking for jobs, but the potential employers that
Absolutely.
they would work for.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Is there anything else that people should know about Best Buddies, or that you would like to share that we maybe haven't discussed?
I would just say, like, if anybody is looking for a community that's very positive and welcoming and accepting, I'm sure like there's a place for you in Best Buddies. We have so many different programs, and we're always like looking for volunteers. Even our citizens chapter, if someone is not able to commit to that one-to-one friendship, but they love the idea, they can still join the citizens community as a group member, and still join and participate in group events, and still be part of it. So there's always contributions to make, to building a more inclusive community.
Yeah, one other thing that I would like to emphasize is, while Best Buddies is creating opportunities for people with disabilities, it is just as impactful on people without disabilities. And we see that all age groups. Anyone who gets involved in Best Buddies is positively impacted, and it's a place where everyone belongs. And so I think that that's important to note, in that when we open school chapters, it helps the whole school. It's not just assisting students with disabilities. And when someone gets a buddy in a one-to-one friendship, it's equally enriching. And you're not a mentor to the individual with a disability, you're a friend.
Yeah.
So I think that's something really important to note about Best Buddies, is everyone benefits from it.
Yeah, that's really good to know.
Yeah, I'll just kind of add something to
Sure.
that too. So one of the things I really value is Best Buddies' approach to like really building authentic friendships. So in our school programs, students are able to earn like volunteer community service hours for the work that they do to plan an event or set up an event or plan a meeting and things like that.
Okay.
But when it comes to the friendship, that one-to-one time with your buddy, we want that to be genuine and authentic.
Sure.
So that is not something that we award community service hours for. Right?
That makes sense.
We just want those friendships to be pure and authentic and genuine. And so I just think that that's a really important message, that and we have just so many students who one of the things that I've just loved about going out to the schools and meeting different students, and when I meet a chapter president or a chapter vice president and say, like, so what's your why, like why do you want to be part of Best Buddies, like, and when I first started 6 years ago, like, my expectation was that I would meet so many students who maybe had a sibling or a cousin or a neighbor, somebody that with a disability, so they were kind of had that personal connection, were aware. But what really surprised me is how many students I met who did not have that personal connection and just saw the need. Like, they just saw the need in their school. Like, they saw maybe students who with disabilities who sat by themselves, like at lunch, or or they saw that maybe their education classroom sometimes was separated, or they didn't see them as often, like, in the school community, and they just wanted to do something about that and just be part of it. So instead of just like wishing for it to happen, like, they were like stepping up to be the change, and to make it happen. So I just thought it was a great thing for me to learn, that there were so many young people out there that were willing to work hard to just make the world more inclusive and meaningful for people with disabilities.
Yeah. What I was thinking about earlier is kind of based on some stuff that you said, and I almost wish that everyone, whether they be in school or an adult, could be involved with Best Buddies in some way, because I think people do have misconceptions, or maybe they haven't been around people with, different abilities than them, and so it's like the unknown. They're uncertain about
absolutely.
it, and so maybe that makes them uncomfortable, or they make that judgment. But I think if they could get to know them on that front, then they do see, we have this in common, like the comic books or whatever it may be, and then, so.
Yeah, it breaks down those barriers
Yes,
fast.
definitely.
Yeah.
So I just have two final questions that I like to ask everybody that comes on. The first being, which nonprofit you think we should feature next? Because that's how I kind of learn, and I knew to have you on, and I've had a lot of other people that others have recommended on. So
So we wanted to share with you a nonprofit that has been very impactful for our organization, and that's the CMF Kids Foundation, which is Crotchet Mountain.
I know Crotchet Mountain well, because my aunt used to live across the street from there. So I skied there all growing up, and I've heard of Crotchet Mountain School.
Right.
But so this is something
so they have a foundation.
Okay.
And so the goal of their foundation is to build communities with the highest poverty rates and to provide support to improve the student outcomes for people with disabilities. So we've partnered with them in the last year, and they to give them support for their chapter activities and events. And then this past summer, we also received a leadership grant from them. So 7 of our 30 students and ambassadors that came to the leadership conference, 7 of our students from different schools were recipients of the grant to help them, because there is a small tuition and travel costs for the weekend activity. So they supported that leadership development for students in those communities, so that they can in turn go and their chapters can make an impact and improve the outcome of those individuals with disabilities. So they're just a great organization. They provide a lot of support for people with disabilities through various programs, which I'll give you the person's contact name when we finish.
Definitely, yeah.
She's just very invested in supporting what we do, and our missions overlap. So it's been a great collaboration for us to work with CMF Kids Foundation.
Yeah, that would be a great one to have on. I'll definitely get their contact and reach out to them.
Awesome.
So. And did you have any other you want to share? Or is that kind of like a collective you want to?
No, I think that's the one that we
Okay.
had talked about
great.
bringing
Okay.
up to you. So, yeah.
Okay. Then the last question is, I know a difficult one, especially with the work that you do, but is there maybe an example or a story that you'd like to share of something kind that you've witnessed or been a part of?
Sure, I'll share an example from my buddy Caitlin. So my birthday was in late May, and Caitlin and I got together, for we got sushi together. And afterward, when we were walking in the parking lot, she's like, "I have your birthday gift." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what?" And it this dinner wasn't a birthday dinner. We had just gone out to eat for fun. But we went to the car, and she had this big cooler bag from Trader Joe's filled with Trader Joe's snacks and drinks that I had never tried before. And that's something that Caitlin and I always talk about. Every time we FaceTime, I'm asked, because she works at Trader Joe's, I'm always asking her, what are the new products? What's good? What do I have to try? And she's always excited to tell me. So it was such a thoughtful gift to give me, especially I didn't expect anything from her.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share that story that, I thought that was such a thoughtful gift, something that we had made a connection on, and that she wanted to share all these snacks with me that she thought were worth trying. So
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That was very thoughtful of her.
yeah, she's great.
So I had a hard time coming up with one specific,
I know,
because there were
it's-
so many
yeah.
different examples. But I guess I was thinking about a couple of weeks ago for my virtual event. I did. The topic was leading with kindness, actually, and so we were, as a group, we were talking about how, with kindness, it's about doing something without expecting something in return, and I guess I just see that in our community all the time. We have an advisory board that is made up of, just so many incredible high energy people, who already have dedicated full-time jobs, but they make room, and make time to support Best Buddies. And we have a lot of events as a nonprofit. We also have a lot of fundraising events. We have a lot of social events. It's a very, high energy. So it just I guess just seeing how many people, whether it's the school chapter leaders or volunteers that join our citizens group or our speech coaches at our ambassador trainings.
Yeah.
And we have so many volunteers. When we do our friendship walks, we have teams from all over the state come, and just seeing how many, I just find it's amazing to see how many people that are just willing to give of themselves and their time to make the world better for somebody else.
Yeah. And I personally feel those are the people that should be celebrated and talked about more. And that's partly why I wanted to do this, because there's so many good people out there doing good things every day. And of course, if you turn on the news, all you hear is awful things. So I'm happy that you shared that, and that you have these incredible volunteers that do just want to make the world a better place. So well, thank you both for being here. I really appreciate your time and sharing about Best Buddies, and hopefully people will listen and want to get involved. I know I'm thinking about getting involved.
great. That's great.
So hopefully it will help out and at least educate people more on what you do. So thank you.
Well,
for
thank
that.
you for the opportunity. It's
Yeah,
great
thank
to
you
talk
so
to
much.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope that you enjoyed learning more about Best Buddies. I certainly am very excited about them as an organization and all that they do. I hope that you will look into them and hopefully get involved, become a volunteer, especially if you're here in New Hampshire. But even if you're not, look into opportunities in your state and see if maybe you can get involved in some way there. It sounds like, to me, it's a very rewarding experience, but also a lot of fun. They seem to have a lot of fun events, such as their Halloween dance. When they do their friendship walks, they have a DJ. And I'm sure there's lots of other opportunities you can find out about on their website. So, another incredible organization. I love being able to share all of these amazing nonprofits and the great work they're doing to make the world a better place. I wish I could get involved with all of them in some way, but hopefully by doing this podcast and you listening to this, you'll find one that works for you, that you'll want to get involved with, and help spread a dose of good in your community. Thank you for listening or watching, and please be sure to leave a rating and review on your podcast app because it just lets more people know about the podcast, and the more people we can reach, the better. So I hope that you will go and do that. Feel free to leave me a comment on the YouTube version, letting me know what you thought of today's episode. I love hearing from you and getting your feedback. This really is a labor of love for me. It's still a work in progress. We've got very different camera setups every time, and we're working to get permanent cameras. We finally have one, the one you're seeing on me right now, and we're hopefully going to set up 2 others so that in the future you will have an even better view. But even if you're just listening, I appreciate you and you supporting the podcast because it means a lot to me, and I hope that you're enjoying it. Be sure to follow on Facebook and Instagram for all the latest about the podcast, and I will see you soon with another episode.